By the time you're done watching this video, you're going to know how to make a digital cup wrap file and the physical vinyl cup making process from start to finish. This video is going to be split into separate parts, and the first part is going to be all about how to make the digital cup wrap file, and the second part will be all about making the physical cup, including all the materials you'll be needing, the software setup, plus the application process. Now let's move on to the first part of this video, which will be how to make the digital cup wrap file for the 16-ounce glass cup. Okay guys, so the first thing you're going to want to do is measure your 16-ounce glass cup. You're going to start by measuring the width of the cup and always leave a little bit of wiggle room on the top and bottom for the curved surfaces. So you can see here that I'm measuring mine about 4.625 inches. And then for the length, you're going to measure it by wrapping your measuring tape around the cup. I tried to overlap it a little bit just to get it more accurate as possible, but make sure you're lining it up to the 0. So mine measures about 9.25 inches. Once you have your measurements, you're going to head over to the computer and open canva.com. This site is completely free to use, so what you're going to want to do is open up a custom sized canvas, and you're going to input the measurements of your cup, and then select create new design. So here's where you're going to start creating your cup design, and I'm going to show you some elements that are good to use and some that you should stay away from. So you can search up any elements that you want: bows, flowers, hearts, smiley faces, anything you can think of. But there are some that you should stay away from, for example, this one here. So as you can see, these are drawings and they have a lot of different colors and textures and shadings, and they're very complex, and these are the ones that you want to stay away from. And that's because these cup wraps are made with vinyl, so we need solid shapes that our machine can properly read. So I'm going to show you some examples of graphics to gravitate towards, like these ones here. And that's because you can clearly see the two different shapes that are on this graphic, and they're very easy to tell apart. And here's another good option that you can clearly see the two different shapes that are separated by colors. And you can also go for graphics that are outlined like this one here. This is another good option. Basically, you want to keep it as simple as possible and pick graphics that have very visible shapes and outlines that are not too complex. Solid shapes like silhouettes or single colored shapes are also a really great option, and that's what I'm going for here. So a very important tip I have for you guys is to make sure they're using the guides and rulers in Canva to evenly space out your graphics. You can see that Canva will snap these into place where they're evenly distanced. You can make this wrap however you want. I'm going to go ahead and add a second shape here, and this is going to be a very uniform and even type of wrap. And if you don't like this type of wrap, fast forward the video a little bit and I show you two other examples as well. So again, Canva snaps these right into place for me, and they're nice and even. And now that this line is nice and even, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this and add a couple more lines. Another important tip to note is that the second line is always going to start opposite to what the first line is starting with. So unlike the first line we did, the second line is going to be starting with a heart and ending with a bow. And I'm going to repeat this process until I fill up the canvas and also space out all the lines evenly as well. If you have a silhouette cameo, I highly recommend turning all the color of your elements black, and you'll see why later in the video. Once you've got the design how you like it, go ahead and download this as a PNG and make sure you're selecting that box that says transparent background. And that file is now ready to go and upload into whatever software you're going to be using for your cutting machine. And I will show those following steps later in the video, but first I'm going to show you two more examples of different cup wraps that you can do. This one is a little bit more crowded and filled, and it's all going to be single colored, but you can add more colors if you'd like. It's up to you, and this one does require a little bit more weeding. So for this type of cup wrap, what I like to do is work in smaller sections and only do one side of it first. And there's really no way for me to explain how to do this other than I just kind of fill things in wherever I like them. I change direction sometimes to make sure that everything is still kind of parallel and equal to each other, if that makes sense. But I guess the guide for this type of transfer is that the top two lines are going to be the same in terms of elements, but those elements can be switched in different orientations, and the middle line is always going to be different. The hardest part is over once you get that section how you like it, and all you're going to do now is duplicate it 2 more times to fill up the rest of the transfer. And you can see here that I'm still making sure to follow those guides so that everything is nice and even. And here I'm just making sure to fill any empty spaces so that it looks a little bit more full and complete. When you're done, go ahead and download that, and always make sure to select transparent background, and now this is ready to upload to your software of choice. And here's the last type of wrap that I'm going to show you. This one's very simple and easy to do. So basically what I'm doing for this wrap is I'm following the first steps for the very first wrap that I showed you guys, and I'm spacing those out evenly. And instead of adding a second element, I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate those and add 2 more lines. Just remember that every other line is going to be opposite to the line on top. So in this case, the second line is not going to start with a flower, but it will end with one. And again, another reminder to use those guides so that everything comes out nice and even. And if you're a beginner, I definitely recommend starting off with wraps like these because these are very standard, they're simple to do, and they're easy to practice with. And now it's done and ready to download. Now we'll be getting into part 2 of this tutorial, which will include all the materials you'll be needing to make the physical cup wraps, as well as the cutting and application process. This doesn't mean you should stop watching because everything else will apply to you no matter what cutting machine you're using. Simply skip over the machine setup part as it may not apply to you. And moving on, we're going to be starting with the materials you'll be needing to make these cup wraps. And now I'm going to be sharing with you some of the materials that you're going to be needing for this. Obviously, you will need a cutting machine for this. I am using my Silhouette Cameo 4. No matter what cutting machine you're going to be using, you will need these materials here. So you're going to need your glass cup to wrap. You're going to need some vinyl. Typically, they do come in rolls like this. This just gets you a little bit more for your money. I'm going to be using Tech Wrap today, but there are a bunch of different options out there. I will have all of these materials linked in the Amazon favorites. If you do decide to purchase from the Tech Wrap website, you can use code NOELICREATES to save some money there. And they do occasionally come in sheets that you can order like this. These sheets definitely make life a lot easier. You won't have to cut, they're ready to go. Moving on, you're going to need some transfer tape. This comes rolled up. This is one of my favorite transfer tapes, you guys. I absolutely love it. It is super, super adhesive and malleable. I really, really love this one in particular. And show you quickly how nice and bendy that is. You know it's like super malleable when you don't hear a crunch. A lot of transfer tapes tend to crunch when you bend them. This one doesn't do that at all. It is super, super easy and malleable. Look at that. Moving on, you don't need this, but I definitely recommend this. It is just a little stand for your cup to make things easier. And there's two different kind of like settings, if you will, like an angled setting like this, and then you have one that just balances right off the top. Again, you don't need this, but I highly, highly recommend it. It's going to make the application process 10 times easier, and they're pretty affordable. They also usually come with a squeegee, which you will need as well. So it usually comes like a set like this on Amazon. It's pretty affordable. I definitely recommend them, especially because you're going to be needing a squeegee anyway. Yes, you will be needing a squeegee to flatten out the vinyl as you're applying it onto the cup. And very, very important, you're going to need one of these. There's a couple different options when it comes to the weeding tool that you're going to use. This is a weeding pen. This one is from Tech Wrap, but I have some Amazon ones that I really like as well in the Amazon favorites. And you will be needing some sort of tool to weed the vinyl, whether that's going to be a weeding pen. I find that this is so much easier than hooks or anything like that, but you can use those as well. This is just my preference. So you will be needing a tool to weed the vinyl. And lastly, this is pretty optional. You can definitely use scissors, but this just makes sure that you get a precision cut when you're cutting your vinyl. Now that we've gone over all the materials, let's head over to the Silhouette and start making these cup wraps. Okay, so if you're not a Silhouette user, now would be the time to skip this part of the video and head over to the application process. Alright, Silhouette users, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and drag in your file, but before doing that, make sure that you've turned all the colors to black. Then you're going to head over to the little toast looking icon and click on that. Now click select trace area and highlight your entire cup wrap. And this is why I like to turn the entire image black, because it's easiest to read this color and it gives it much sharper edges. And here you can play with the threshold a little bit to see if you'd like it more filled out or not. I want there to be a good cut with that circle in the middle, so that's why I'm keeping the threshold a little bit low. And once you've got it how you like it, make sure to hit trace. And now you can go ahead and move the image from the top and you can see that the entire design was traced. You don't have to do it this way, but I really recommend it to get those sharp, clean cut lines. And if I zoom in here, you can see just how nice each shape is completely separated from each other. And that's why I like to do it this way, so that every cut is seamless. This next step is if you want to change the color of the hearts or any parts of the bows. At the top, select object and then hit release compound path. And you can see now that each individual shape has been separated. And now you can change the colors of any of the parts that you want, but just remember that this is just to separate your cuts, and the color of the vinyl is what actually matters. And after the colors have been separated, I'm just going to go ahead and group all of these so it's easier to move. Now you're ready to cut, so hit send at the top right corner. And then select fill. And here you can see the two different colors from the bows and the hearts. Make sure to change your material and cup settings for each color, and this is going to depend on the type of vinyl that you're using. Make sure to select and deselect whatever color vinyl you're going to be cutting first. You can see at the bottom here that it says ready to load, so go ahead and put your cutting mat into the machine and then hit send. That's all for the computer setup, and now we're going to move on to the physical setup and the application process. One other material that you're going to need, and that is some cutting mats, but that's kind of a given because you obviously need a cutting mat to use the cutting machine, but you are going to be needing a cutting mat. I really, really like these ones from HTV. These are probably one of my favorites, and again, these are available on Amazon in the Amazon favorites. For this video, because you guys are special, we're going to be using a brand new mat, so let's peel that off. Let's go ahead and stick on our vinyl. Some of these have protective layers, so just always make sure that yours doesn't have any or it will not cut through correctly. And I like to line these up as nicely as I can, just that it's, you know, nice and precise. So I'm just going to line this up as accurately as I can. That's pretty good. I like to just take a squeegee here and press out any air bubbles that I can. I also like these squeegees that have like a felt side to it because I feel like they're a lot smoother on the vinyl. That looks pretty good, and now we're going to load it into the machine, lining it up with the arrows right here. And we're just going to press the arrow button. We're going to go ahead and send this on the computer over here. So we're going to deselect the black color, and we're only going to select the pink. And we're going to send this. And we're going to remove this. You can take this off or leave it on here. I usually like to leave it on here when I peel it because it will peel really, really nicely, and I'll show you that now. I would definitely use this piece here, but I forgot to cut it off. So anyways, just a little tip, and now I'm just going to gently peel this off. And now we're going to cut the little hearts that go in between this. Line this up as nicely as we can. Okay, so it's done cutting now, and usually you guys cut just like the tiniest strip and put all the hearts on one section, but for the sake of this video, we're just going to show the alternative way as well. This way just wastes a lot more vinyl, and it depends on how much time you have and stuff. But I recommend, especially if you're doing anything with layers or anything, always cut the layers separately and then just put them on yourself, so you save so much material this way. Just show you how much material actually gets wasted. This could have fit like literally on this little strip right here, but again, for the sake of this video, and as you can see, it definitely wastes a lot of material doing it this way, but it's all preference, so to each their own. And now we're going to go ahead and layer these two together. We've got all of our cuts here, and now let's go ahead and weed, layer, and assemble these cup wraps. So let's go ahead and start with the bows. I'm just going to go ahead and take my transfer tape here and peel that off. Place that over the hearts because the hearts are going to go on top of this, so it becomes one whole layer here. So we're going to do this very carefully. Just be very, very gentle with this. Take your time. I'm taking a squeegee here. I also recommend getting one that has like a little felt tip, and you'll see why later. I feel like these are a lot gentler, but I'm just going to go ahead and put pressure on this so it transfers, so the vinyl transfers to the transfer tape. And it should transfer pretty easily. Like that. And now what I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to take the backing of that and I'm going to place it over the last 3 layers and leave that top layer open. And you'll see why in just a minute here. So it should look something like this. If you have some curling like this, go ahead and put just like a heavier object on there to weigh it down. I'm going to very, very carefully place this as evenly as possible. Like that. So that looks pretty good to me, I think, hopefully. It's not coming off now. Let's flip this over and start removing the back like this and just gently laying that down like this. Just keep going till I reach the end. As you can see, that's pretty even, I would say so myself. We're gonna bring out this little tool. This is a little like tumbler stand. Here is our 16-ounce glass cup. I'm gonna turn this over, scrape that, peel that off. Should come off fairly easy, especially because it's a fresh piece of tape. Now that that's off, what I like to do is take half of this, okay? Half of this, and I put it on half of the transfer like that, and then I take the other piece from the vinyl and I put it on the other half of the transfer, but I leave a tiny little space in between, like probably that much. that much of a space in between. Hold it in place until I find like a position that I like. I'm also going to flip it over like this and make sure that the sides line up how I want them to line up, so that the wrap looks as seamless as possible. So that looks pretty good to me. So now that I like the position, I'm gonna go ahead and stick that centerpiece little crack that we left open. I'm just going to flatten that out like this. Get it on there good. And now once I see that that is on there, you can see it's not moving anywhere. I'm going to take my little tumbler stand and I'm going to put it right on top like this. Take off one of the sides. Be very careful when you do this. Make sure you're holding the edge of it so it doesn't flip over. Okay. And now what you're going to do, you're going to take your squeegee here. You're going to slowly start flattening it out along the cup like this. And work in small sections so you don't get any air bubbles. And it's really important to lay down that vinyl completely flat. Okay, so that looks pretty good, I think. Okay, so I can already tell it's going a little crooked. I must have moved it by accident, but that's okay. Like I said, be careful when you do this, and it's kind of hard because I'm not standing up, so it might come out a little ugly, but that's okay. And we're gonna do the same thing on the other side here. Slowly, slowly, and you can use your finger right here to block the vinyl from flipping over. Just slowly go around, take your time with it. Once you get the hang of it, it'll go a lot faster than this, I promise you. But for now, when you get to the end, make sure to peel back the other side of the vinyl first before you stick it down completely, because you're gonna have problems if you don't. So flip that up, flatten that out. Take that squeegee and just flatten that out again. And if you want, I like to just usually keep flattening out the sides and everything. Make sure that's good on there. And now we're ready to peel. So you want to peel towards the cup. You don't want to peel up like this. You want to pull towards the cup. You don't even need to use your whole hand. You can just use your thumb finger here and just pull towards you, towards the cup, towards the cup, like this. Recommend for a nice firm peel alongside the cup so you don't have any accidents or anything. And just you can even shake like this. You can shake like that if you want to go faster. Okay, so it's a little crooked, not too bad, but here's the first cup. Came out really nice, super cute. The file should be nice and even so you get a nice clean seam. You can see right here that I accidentally lined up the cup incorrectly. If you do it correctly, it should end up like this, nice and even right here. So again, when you're making those files, just make sure they're leveled, and Canva does it all for you. You can see in the guides that it will line it up evenly for you. So just pay attention to that. Now we're gonna move on to weeding. Here's our cup wrap for the like plant book lover, coffee lover theme. And we're gonna go ahead and peel this off now. And just take your time with this as well, because there are a lot of sharp edges here. So just be patient, take your time, just be gentle. Right. And then before you crumble, just look at the vinyl and make sure that there's no pieces in there. This looks pretty good, so we're gonna crumble that up. Okay, and now it's time for weeding. So you're just gonna go in, and where you see any of these little cuts, you see any of these little cuts like this, you're just gonna go ahead and peel that off, just like that. And you're gonna do that for the whole entire sheet. And all you have to do is really just like poke it in there like this. It's it should come off really, really easily. And I just like to put them on my finger here and stack them up. There are these like little ring things that you can put on your finger for this very reason, but I don't have one right now, so we're just gonna keep it old-fashioned and use our finger. So I'm gonna speed this up and we'll chat when I'm done. It's all all done now, and we're just gonna repeat the same process again and adhere it to the cup. And I totally forgot to mention to save your transfer tape because it has a long life. So yeah, definitely get a couple uses out of it before you throw it away. You don't need to use a new piece every single time. This over. That seam lined up pretty perfect if I do say so myself. Wow, that one was great. Okay, go ahead and peel it back now. So this one's actually really cute. I really like this one. So cute. So now let's move on to the last one. Okay, so I accidentally cut off the tops of these a little bit, but it's totally fine. We can just line these up and it'll look okay. Now we're gonna go ahead and peel the little layered. And again, I definitely recommend not doing this because you waste a ton of vinyl. But again, for the sake of this video, I just wanna show you how to do this. Look at all that vinyl we just wasted, guys. It really does hurt. It really does hurt. But again, I wanna show you the way that usually everyone does it this way because all you have to do is like transfer it and it's lined up already. But I usually used to transfer these by hand individually because again, it does save us a ton of vinyl. It really just depends on you, your preference, and how much time you have on hand. Those are now layered. And this is probably a bad example because the colors are so similar, but you get the gist. So let's get that on there. And there you go, that's the last cup, you guys. And look how cute it looks. It's hard to tell on camera, but it's like a little shimmer, like iridescent. It's so cute. Okay guys, so here are the 3 finished cups. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and if you have any further questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments down below and I'll try to answer them for you. Let me know if you guys want more tutorials like this or any other tutorial recommendations. Go ahead and leave those in the comments down below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to check out my TikTok and Instagram for more content, and I will see you in the next one.